What is up, guys? It is the Sound Alchemist, and I'm joined with
Gersh1.
And we're here to bring you yet another episode of For the Greater.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put question in front of your question because we get to those questions first. And that is what Veril Sheets did. He or she asks, how does evoking the Emperor protect you? Does it go back to the deal he made with the Chaos when creating the Primarchs? No. So whenever an Imperial Guardsman is about to get squished by a Chaos Titan and then he prays to the Emperor, what's happening is that the Emperor is answering in the form of his psychic essence in all of the galaxy. Mm-hmm. As most people know, the Emperor is... he's probably becoming a god. Based on all the Imperium that is worshipping him. It's kind of the same thing that it's a theory of why the Eldar gods are the way that they are. My theory is that they used to be old ones that were worshipped by the Eldar and then became manifestations within the warp. But that is what happens when you pray to the Emperor. You get answered in the forms of like Imperial Saints coming back.
The Legion of the Damned.
Legion of the Damned, all that kind of stuff. Because the Emperor's psychic essence is out there. That's really what the Astronomicon is. It's like a beacon of the Emperor's psychic power just shooting out into the galaxy and telling people or navigators, which way is which. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, most people believe that the Emperor saves your soul so that chaos or any other gribblies doesn't feast on your soul after death. So it could be that.
Yep, so you become part of the Army of the Light. If you are a human and you worship the Emperor, when you die, your soul is protected by the Emperor upon your death. Whereas, like with other races...
Like if any Eldar dies, Slaanesh eats their soul, unless they got the Soul Stone.
Yep.
There's a Spirit Stone?
So there's both. So either an Exodite or a Craft World. But yeah. So I hope that answers that question. There was no deal with the Chaos Gods for the souls of humans. It was just kind of like the Chaos Gods messed with the Emperor and stole his children and scattered them all over the place.
Right.
But yeah. Check out the 40 facts on the origins of the Traitor Legion or Traitor Primarchs to get more information on that.
This is an interesting question by Captain Swindletooth Gobsmack. Very fun name. Which demon Primarch could slay the Emperor's mortal form? Yes, Abaddon is most likely to do so at this point, but who could successfully lay siege to Terra? Probably Magnus. We haven't seen all the Chaos corrupted Primarchs, but from what we have seen, which is literally just two, Magnus and Mortarion, Mortarion pretty much got his butt kicked. So did Magnus, but Magnus really shouldn't be losing at all. If you think about it, he was the second strongest Primarch next to the Emperor at the time of the Great Crusade, and being empowered with Zeech, like this guy should be a powerhouse, but he's not.
Well, he was because his whole scheme was to jump into the portal that he came to the first place.
Well, yeah.
But what happened was that they were like, no, there's a warp portal or a warp gate on the moon. Mm-hmm. So they teleported or they jumped into the moon, and then Guilliman, Harlequins, the Adeptus Custodes, the Sisters of Battle, the Imperial Guard, all fought Magnus.
Yeah.
And then finally
he still shouldn't be losing. Like, if you say the Emperor goes up against that force, you would think the Emperor would come out on top.
The Emperor should beat Horus, yeah, for sure. But I do agree that he would be likely... most likely, Magnus would be the one to invade Terra, because he did it to the wolves.
Yeah.
The Fenris withstood the Inquisition. They withstood Slaanesh. But Magnus actually got on there and did his thing.
Yeah, he blew up the gene factories.
So Magnus the Red is definitely the one to destroy or to siege Terra. In the future, though, what Primarch that doesn't have a model yet do you think would be like OP level?
Probably Lorgar.
Lorgar?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's like the one thing that GW is doing. Like they're holding off on putting out Lorgar or lore on Lorgar, because he is going to be like a badass dude.
Mm-hmm.
Even though
he wasn't in the beginning.
No. Next question comes from the Adeptus Astartes. How easily would a Space Marine kick the ass of a Jedi? Would it even be a contest? It depends on the Jedi, and it depends on the Space Marine.
Yeah.
Because if you put Yoda versus Dante, that'd be a good match.
That'd be an interesting one, yeah.
I think I'd give it to Yoda just because I think he would be able to... Well, no, I'd give it to Dante.
I mean, it's weird because, like, do you think that lightsabers can cut through power armor?
Yeah.
Like, easily?
Not easily, but I think they could.
So then the only thing stopping, essentially, a lightsaber blow would be, like, psychic powers, then, right? Or do you think, like, a storm shield and the force fields that they bring up can block that?
I think, like, because I think it's in the Attack of the Clones where they're invading some, like, force field to take Count Dooku out, or it might be the Return of the Jedi.
No, that was
the Attack of the Clones, right?
Yeah.
And then they're opening the portal, and then you just see the lightsabers, and then they do like the circle, but it takes a while. I think that's what it would be like. So in order to break through plasteel, in order to break through like a storm shield, it wouldn't just be like a slash. It would be like a slash, and then you have to hold it there, and then you gotta just, and by then, like,
Space Marines already, like.
Yeah, so I think more often than not, a Space Marine would beat a Jedi, but a Jedi can always win. Kind of like the old, I think it was on History Channel or the Discovery Channel, there used to be a series where like they would put two warriors of history and they would fight them. Sometimes they would do that with animals too, like a bear versus a tiger to see who win. And like statistically, like the bear might win over the tiger, but that doesn't mean that the tiger would never win because there's a chance.
Yeah, because I feel like Space Marines are more protected. Obviously, Jedi, they're faster with like using, I was about to say the warp, using the Force. Yeah.
Yeah, because that is another thing you have to keep in mind too. Because if you go against like a Black Templar who doesn't use psychic powers, goes up against a Force wielding Jedi who's like really good with like
using the Force.
Yeah, then obviously the Jedi will have that advantage because he could use the weight against them. Yeah,
essentially you could use the Force to just pick up the Space Marine, and then if they don't have like a bolt pistol or anything like that, they're a sitting duck.
Yeah. What do you guys think? Comment down below.
Yeah. But Mandalorian, that's a good show.
I still haven't seen it.
No?
We have Disney Plus, and we weren't very like thrilled. Yeah. I think it's a little hard to find the movie that you're looking for.
Yeah, I mean it's just starting out. All the Star Wars movies are on there. Mandalorian is, I don't know why, but it gives me Samurai Jack feels.
Oh, really?
Like the direction of it. There's minimal dialogue, and it just feels like it's my cup of tea. I am head over heels over for it.
Is it a show or is it?
It's a show.
It's a show.
It's from what I've known. I think it's 2 episodes a week, and it already got green lit for a season 2.
How many episodes are out right now?
Just 2.
Oh, okay. So I could watch it like.
Yeah, you'd finish it in like an hour and a half.
And then next week is another 2?
Probably.
Sweet.
Yeah. I'm not 100% sure because I thought it was going to be an episode a week kind of thing, but we had 2 in this past week.
Check it out. Next question.
This one is... interesting. The Silent Service. Could the Imperial throne be moved from one point to another while still keeping the Emperor alive and still protecting the webway?
Probably not.
Yeah, I don't think they'd want to move. Even if Terra got invaded, I don't think they'd want to move the Emperor at all because Terra is a holy place. It's the origin of humanity. If Terra got taken over, that'd be a huge blow to the Imperium. and especially to the morale of all humans. It's like if they took Terra, like everything else is gonna crumble too. The most heavily defended planet in the entire Imperial space just got taken. Like that's it. Like that's the tweet.
Yeah. And it's connected to the Astronomicon.
Right.
So then you have to move two things that they don't really even know how it works. Like they modified it to make it become a life support system.
Yeah.
But they my theory is that it's old one technology.
That's most likely what it is.
And who knows if that's actually keeping part of the WAAAGH gate open. So there's 3 things on Terra that you can't really move. Like you could, but like you said, the results could be really bad.
And it's like there is the terminus decree, and that's like if all else fails, you push the button, or you activate whatever's in Pandora's box, so to speak.
Yeah.
Which is weird because like I think the Grey Knights have access to that, and it's like why not give like Custodes access to that?
Next question comes from Reject X7. Which space wolves not following the codex with space wolves not following the codex, do they not have successor chapters? They might have 2. The Wolf Lords, and there's another one. We have a 40 facts on it. But yes, they might.
Right. With the Space Wolves, it's weird because they have companies. And there's like companies that have gone missing in the warp, and you have the Wolfen to think about, and the Canis Helix, which is the gene deficiency or the gene mutation, is kind of hindering the Space Wolves from producing many more Astartes. So that's also something to think about. If this is a problem now, and you're just making more successors, would the gene deformities like evolve and mutate, and it's just opening another can of worms.
Yeah, it's always fun though to read your guys' fan lore on Space Wolf successor chapters, because there's a lot of people that do successor chapters of the Space Wolves, and then the way you guys go around that is kind of cool. Like you said, remember that there are companies out on hunts and they go missing. What could happen to those people and their gene seed? They could be caught by the Inquisition, who has a grudge against the Space Wolves, and then they create a successor chapter. So there's a lot of cool stuff that you guys can do with it.
A really cool, just throwing this out there, a really cool thing you could do with like your fan lores, your create a chapter kind of thing, is have them be captured by the Dark Eldar, the Drukhari, and then have like a homunculus mess around with the gene seed, and then you could give them like, oh, these Space Marines have horns on them, or they can breathe fire because of the way that the homunculi has been experimenting on them. And because of this, they actually broke out and have freed themselves. So now you have this like renegade chapter of Space Marines that have these mutations and whatnot, all because of the Dark Eldar.
Yes.
Without it being tied to like chaos or anything.
Yes. Next question comes from...
I got a good one from Defuo06. If 2 orc war bosses fought for dominance, will it almost always end with the death of one of them? But if one of them chickens out in the middle of the fight, is it decided that his life is more important than being the boss? What happens to this war boss that escapes? Can he recover and rise to power? Or will he live in shame for the rest of his life?
All of the above. During the Red WAAAGH, what happened was that the main war boss of the Red WAAAGH, he wasn't like the head of the war bosses on his planet. He actually he built up his strength, fought the one that was already like a dominant orc. He was a Bad Moon clan orc, and during the fight they didn't kill each other. The Bad Moon actually lost. So then the Goth war boss, I can't remember his name. He ended up making him be one of his knobs. So that does happen a lot within the hierarchy of the orcs. If you have 2 orc war bosses and they have sizable clans or sizable walls, they can fight each other and not necessarily kill each other. Just the more dominant one becomes the warlord, and then the other boss just becomes a boss of his clan, and then they go to the same location.
Interesting.
which is what happened to God School. So God School is the war lord of all of the Armageddon WAAAGH, but then there's like a bunch of sub war bosses within Armageddon, which are now there on Armageddon, continuing God School's fight.
So then, what happens when like they want to have another fight? Is it since they already lost? Is it like they won't get a chance?
No, they would. So like if the orc loses, if the war boss that lost gets up tomorrow morning and he's like, no, I think I'm ready, I can take him again, then they just fight, and then it just keeps going, and that's why it's really really easy to destroy a war by killing the head war boss. Because if you kill that head war boss,
then everybody else is just gonna fight for control.
yeah, all the knobs are gonna fight each other. So it's okay to have like a couple fights against the war boss a day, but can you imagine every single knob fighting? Then it just becomes pandemonium, and it's like, nah, we're just gonna fight each other.
Yeah.
Which is cool. It's a cool concept. But yeah, those are the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, comment down below.
That's right. Don't forget to hit us up on our Facebook, Instagram,
Twitter,
Patreon.
we really don't use Twitter.
And yeah, this has been the Sound Alchemist,
Gershwan.
and we are out of here.
Oh, if you could put my